Hey, what's up, Vision Pros? Jackson Callum here, tuning in from Ecuador. And I'm so excited to have the guests that we have on the show today. In fact, I'm a little bit nervous because of the amount of value that I want to make sure to extract for each and every single one of you. We have an entrepreneur in the house today, and Nick Montalbine. And Nick has had the grand fortune of working with Nike. And working at Nike, he was there for over 10 years. He has now launched his own company as an entrepreneur, innervoiceanalytics.com. We're going to take a look at that, but I want to give more context. In the years of wisdom that I've gained in doing startups and building brands and having lots of companies that have failed along the way and lots of companies that have had some extreme successes, one of the greatest pieces that I think newer visionaries and people who are younger as well don't realize is just the power and value of team and the importance of realizing that entrepreneurship is a team sport. And what Nick's bringing to the table today is not just the importance of culture, but also the importance of really learning how and what to listen to. And so if you think about it, this guy has had the chance to work in an HR department that is larger than life. Go look up and see how many employees Nike has, and don't be your pants. Right. And so he's had the chance to see all the data related to that. And look, and his job, his full focus was on how do we make sure that we're taking great care of these individuals and we don't lose our best talent. Like that, if I yes, marketing's important. Yes, sales and knowing your service and your offers. But in my humble opinion, the most important thing we can do as visionaries is clarify our vision, build an amazing culture, and attract phenomenal leaders. And that ultimately is what leads the market to want to belong and be part of something. And at the core of all of that are the people, are making sure that the people are priority. And so we've got somebody tremendous to speak to that. Before I bring him on stage, I also want to point out something that really attracts me about what Nick is up to. The cleanliness of his website. It's just phenomenal. I mean, nowadays with AI, you can build almost anything, but and any kid can almost build anything. But it's different when you have somebody who understands how to focus on what it is they're up to, and there's not hype built into this. There's just, in my opinion, purity, and he even understands the value of building an assessment. So I'm actually gonna be taking this assessment after we talk today because I want to see how's my brand measuring up and what are we doing to learn from this. So between that and also making sure that his about section is super clear, you can see his smile meets his eyes. You can see that he's confident in who he is, and then his write up, his bio makes perfect sense, and he's got his company values in place too. I see so many visionaries not realizing the importance of getting this information set up. And then it's super plain and simple. It's like, okay, well, if I want to contact him, I will. If I don't, I won't. There's not a whole lot of theatrics built into this. It's not some crazy, robust funnel that I see so many people building with. So again, I'm kind of bromancing right now, but I'm just grateful for the way that Nick has set this up. I'm grateful for the opportunity to bring to light what he's offered. I will give a quick shout out to who we list as our sponsors as well as the Water Project. So you can look these up on your own time. Journey to Wellness, Dr. Shannon and Dr. Justin Pierce, phenomenal individuals. I've known them for 8 years, and they've helped some of my close friends with illnesses that nobody else could help with. I'll leave it at that. You can do your own research on it. Practice Makes Permanent with Jennifer Reed. I think there's a lot of room for Nick even to talk to Jennifer Reed about what she's up to. Jennifer Reed, she helps businesses by being a culture facilitator in relation to EQ and SQ, emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence. She has a personal story I won't go into right now because I want to get back to Nick, but that'll just blow you away. And at the same time, her connection with emotional intelligence and leading comes from her 20 plus years of experience at the IRS. I can't think of a harder place to develop culture and leadership and know how to support. I could not survive that environment probably for 20 days myself. So anyway, she's got superpowers. Your company's looking for somebody to help with cultural development. Now you got two phenomenal options. And then the Water Project. Those of you who don't know, there's millions of people who don't have access to clean drinking water. I have never been thirsty in my life. I've always had access to water. And so when I started to meditate on the reality of what would it be like for my kids to have to go and leave school to go get water and not know what the source is like and not know where to find it, or I had to leave work over and over, it would create a generational impact that would just create an almost impossible situation to survive in. We have the opportunity to help with that. And the neat thing is, the Water Project shows us what they do and how they finish their work when you commit to it. And if you don't have a financial backing to be able to do such, my hope is that you'll at least talk to your friends and family about this over your next meal. What an opportunity to talk about something that's important. We got 8 billion people to help in this world, and I hope we join forces in doing so. Let's get back to helping each and every single one of you. Nick, welcome to Vision Pros Live.
Hey, great to be here, Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so honored. So, Nick, we'll keep it short today because I know we both have different things planned right after this. But what I'd like to stay at the level that you actually are participating at. The the analytics for these companies who are ready to focus on sustaining their workforce. What are some of the secrets that you'd like to reveal? What are we overlooking, and what could we be focused on in order to make sure that we're taking great care of our people?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're really overlooking is the cost of turnover. And I don't think organizations are spending enough time looking at it. I think we're looking at as people as disposable assets. Um, I just did some work in the healthcare industry. Every time one nurse leaves, that costs $62,000. That's in the true cost of turnover. And what I mean by true cost, loss of productivity, having to go ahead and go recruit, interview time, et cetera, et cetera. Right? Um,
Yeah, it's
that
huge.
number actually gets a lot bigger when we think about the hidden costs, right? That the impact to your brand in the case of the healthcare world, patient care, right? And then also burnout on staff for having to cover as well. So organizations, I don't think are doing enough in terms of really looking at the cost. The last thing I'd say, Jackson, is I don't think organizations are doing enough in terms of the frequency and the intentionality of listening. They've got their employee engagement survey. They may do a pulse survey every quarter, right? But that data is stale, right? Employee sentiment changes so rapidly, and we're not keeping up with that.
It's huge, and I love how succinct you're able to speak to these realities. I'll share a tiny story on it. I was my first job was Sonic Drive-In, and I was lead cook at Sonic. I wanted to be on the skates, but whatever. I took my job as lead cook, and I ended up recruiting four of my friends to come work with me over the next couple of months. And every single one of those friends was hired at a higher salary, higher hourly rate than what I was even being given. And my mom planted the seed. She's like, "Jackson, like, you need to ask for a raise. They should be paying you more than the people that you brought in, at the very least." And, I talked to him about it. They moved it up a little bit, but at the end of the day, I ended up leaving. And so did 3 other employees right away. Boom, boom, boom. Why? Because we were all connected to each other. And so to your point, yes, I drove home a little bit further the reality of the cost. On the flip side, what this means is if we invest in our people and we take care of them well, not only do we avoid the cost, but we end up also creating a positive ROI at the same time. And so this isn't something to just avoid as much as it is visionaries and be to realize if you start investing in your people, you'll also start to gain a sense of stability, a sense of security, a sense of revenue that you otherwise wouldn't have without a consistent, reliable workforce. So, Nick, I love that you highlighted that. What are some of the other things that inner voice analytics is bringing to the surface and that you plan on doing over the next couple of years with your project?
Yeah, no. So a couple things. A lot of things that we're bringing to the surface is a lot of the solutions that we're hearing will keep people stay. They're relatively simple. They don't cost a lot, right? So I would say that's the big thing that we're starting to unearth in a lot of these organizations. The other thing that we are leaning very heavily into is we're going to start looking at more generative and more predictive AI. Uh, where how can we go ahead and go start to pulse employees and based on how they may be responding starts to point that flag a little bit earlier. The last thing I want to do is have maybe somebody kind of think about maybe I should go onto LinkedIn and look for a job. Maybe I should brush up my resume because I love your Sonic example, right? Here you are, you're in this organization, you're a known entity, right? You're a good performer. You don't know what you're going to get when you leave and then four other people leave. We call that turnover contagion, right? We're trying to prevent turnover contagion.
That's awesome. And yeah, it makes me contemplate just like how many real opportunities there are because as you pointed out, there's just not one. I think as individuals we struggle with the idea of listening. It's kind of hard to know how to listen. It's not something where we don't come out as babies being like, "Hey, mom, how are you?" We don't grow up thinking, "Oh, you want my toy? Let me hear more about why and share my toy in the meantime." Like, well, that's not inherently like a human. I don't think it's a human instinct. I think it's something that we kinda, like, have to decide, "Oh, I'm going to do this, intentionally," and I think it's okay if we learn to do it for selfish reasons, it's like, you gotta survive, you gotta kinda love yourself too, but I'm not an expert in the subject, so my rambles, I'd love to turn that over to you, Nick. What do you think about that? Like, why is it that we struggle so much with the idea of truly listening, and how can we discipline ourselves to really start to hear people and what it is they need and want?
Yeah, no, you're spot on, and that's what we see is that the conversation is lost, right? We're losing that ability to have honest conversations with each other, not only in the workplace, but I also think in society in general, right? Without it escalating so quickly, right? Um, and that's what I think we need to start to have in organizations, to start having those honest conversations. Have that conversation with an employee that may sit there and say, "Hey, look, I need a raise," right? Have that honest conversation. So, like, I can't. There are no levers for me as a leader right now to give you a raise, but here's what we can go ahead and go do instead, right? Instead we avoid, right? And I
Right.
think that's what we need to start to do. And that's the beauty, at least with us as Inner Voice Analytics. We're that neutral third party that has those one-on-one honest conversations with employees. And that's why we get these deep, rich insights. To me, it's all about, I keep repeating it, the conversation. I think we need to bring it back.
I love it. I'm gonna plant a seed and maybe out of the wheelhouse of what inner voice analytics is preparing to do or can do or has the depth to do. I know you got to focus as entrepreneurs on what you have in place, but one of the areas, Nick, where I don't have probably the bandwidth myself, at least by myself, and we don't have the depth of training that you do, but is plaguing the world currently. We call it, we don't believe in VA relationships. We don't support virtual abuse. And what's happening with that is there's a lot of mostly solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, I would even say. These are companies that are not Nike. These are companies that are learning HR on the fly. And they're trying to be compliant, but I mean, really, you got so much going on as a business owner that you don't even really know where to focus. You just try to get it all done. And as part of that, I meet a lot of entrepreneurs who uh, they're not ready to invest in third party consulting. Right. Again, they're worried about their next lead and what they say is like, "Oh, my VA loves me." And I can talk to almost any one of those VAs and tell you that, without even talking to them, they're overworked,
Yes.
they're underpaid, they're terrified to say anything because they can't afford to lose another job. They can barely afford the bag of rice, that entrepreneur is affording to them, and the entrepreneur, again, has no HR skills, so they don't know how to have these in-depth conversations like you're talking about, but there's a worldwide uh, slave mentality that exists in relation to VAs that is, again, so hard to see, like what's truly going on in those relationships because, again, the VA has to say what they have to say in order to just survive. So, if there are ways that inner voice analytics um, can create systems and provide this level of depth that you're talking about, to those individuals, I'll be the Lorax who speaks for the VAs. For the VAs have no opportunity to do this themselves. But
I love that.
man, that would mean so much to so many people throughout the world that don't have a voice. So
Yeah, that's amazing insight and something that we haven't really thought of. And I think that's something that right onto my left-hand side here, we've got a vision board that keep on dropping our ideas for road mapping. And I think that's something that we can definitely start to say, how can we go ahead and go solve that? Because I agree with you. I think we just kind of go sometimes Mach 2 with our hair on fire, so not understanding the consequences.
dude, I appreciate your heart, and I appreciate you hearing me out on it and to let me put you on the spot a little bit in the show with it, and
Sure.
and just know visionaries that are listening to, my hope is that Nick has the same discipline that I hope you have and that I end up having in my business. We've got to focus on our MVPs, our minimum viable products. We have to be able to bring our sustainability to reality in order to then be able to expand. You can't have a hospital with no doctors, right? You've got to have enough people to be able to take care of it. So Nick, maybe we get to mastermind that again in future episode as well. We go
Love that.
live. That could be cool. But I would also just love to hear more about the solidarity of what you are building because I can see the foundation clearly for what you're up to, man, and I love it. I really appreciate it. So last little bit fortune cookie word of wisdom for visionaries out there. Mike is yours, Nick. What wisdom do you have for visionaries who are trying to build their own vision?
Yeah, I mean, just keep at it. It's a slog. It's tough out there. Keep your passion. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. That's why I'm shifting this. I'm super passionate about this. I think when you're passionate about something, it comes through in how you speak, how you show up every day, and it just keep getting your story out there.
I love that. Vision Pros, that's an invitation for every single one of you. You do not have to be a world-class executive who helped run and build one of the biggest companies in the world, Nike. You can be brand new at what you're doing, but if you've got a vision to be able to help others, we would love to have you on the show. There's a button in the top right corner that says be our guest. Just go to visionproslive.com, click on it, book, come and join us. If you're out there helping the world, we want to see and hear about what you're up to. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Take care, everybody. Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a vision pro yourself.